Hi, welcome back. Bob, 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 16 says that we have the mind of Christ. And Romans chapter 12, verse 2 says that we are to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And certainly, as we walk with the Lord, He's continuously transforming us, and particularly our minds. But the question I have for you now is, what would it be like to really have the mind of Christ?
Imagine having a mind of perfect love, perfect peace, perfect joy, perfect trust, a godly mind. There would be no worry, no fear. It's beyond our imagination, really, what it would be like. We'll never really have the perfect mind of Christ, but for the rest of our lives, God will be molding us to be more like Christ. Christian means Christ-like. And it's very interesting. It's one of my favorite subjects is how to renew the mind. Having studied a little bit of neurology and the counseling, it's very interesting in how we renew the minds, and it's correlated with exactly how God tells us to think and live.
Okay, so in this lesson you talk about how we renew the mind, and it seems to have not only a spiritual impact upon us, but even a physical impact as well. So how does knowing how the mind renews help us to have a renewed way of thinking, a new mind, the mind of Christ?
Well, knowing how something works always helps us to be able to operate it better. Knowing how the brain works, how our mind works, helps us to transform our thinking. It says, Corinthians 2, did not form the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The mind of a human being can actually be rewired. We become our own brain surgeons by what we think. We stop thinking of toxic thoughts, and they start to unwire. We think about godly thoughts, and they start to wire. That's why you find been a Christian for 50 years, his whole mind is wired for God. Nothing seems to faze him. They have perfect trust. And it's a blessing that God has made us so that we can renew the mind, to have the mind of Christ.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's something that affects us not only spiritually, but also physically. And so this lesson explores some of those concepts on a surface level, but hopefully will motivate you to delve even deeper into it. So this lesson is about us having the mind of Christ. It's about allowing the Holy Spirit to help renew our minds to be like the mind of Christ. But it's also about helping us to move those sinful, toxic thoughts out of the way so that we can be filled with thoughts that truly bring us life and vitality and keep us in that perfect love of God.